Hi, I'm Allison from The Kills. This is Jamie. Our musical universe consists of the two of us.
Influences, I think, is down to, it's kind of down to other people to spot those, you know, because I've lost track of it. I know the things that were important to us while we started our band, you know, we were both big Velvet Underground fans and we loved all that. I think that was a scene that was particularly important, you know, New York in the late 60s, and you can't really talk about Velvet Underground without talking about the art scene and Warhol or the literature scene with Allen Ginsberg and all the periphery, like Edie Sedgwick and all those characters. And that really fascinated us because we were stuck in our bedrooms making films for no one to see and recording little things for no one to hear and writing books for no one to read, you know, and that was our little sort of daydream really, was that scene. So I feel like that's the kind of thing that's in my blood.
You know, it's like a weird moment to go on stage. It's still really extremely private. But it's exciting because there are people there that, you know, it's turned into more like, how can we outdo ourselves? It's still really selfish, I think, you know. Every day I want to play better.
You don't start a group to stay locked in your bedroom, you know. The idea is that you play to people, and no matter how, even if you don't want to be the biggest band in the world and you're happy being some sort of cult underground thing, you still have that same sort of hierarchy of ambition that you play one week in front of 100 people and the next week you want there to be 200 people, and then after that you want there to be 500 and then 1,000, you know, you want more people to come. So you always have that. I think it's rare that someone genuinely starts a band and doesn't want to be heard.
I'm just excited to see Jane Birkin and Marianne Faithfull. I think that'll be really exciting. So I'm just waiting for that, really. I mean, I haven't thought about it too much, you know. I'm excited to play, and I'm excited to play, see them. It'll be great. I have a lot of respect for people that have come before, and especially those that are still working and still doing it, still coming up with new things. I think they deserve a lot of respect, and I find it fascinating. You know, they started at a totally different time. The world was different. People were different.
Yeah, I mean, I think those two in particular represent something incredible because they came out of a generation where women were mostly sort of perceived by their sexuality, and like, you know, Marianne Faithfull and Jane Birkin were both. People sort of traded them on that in a way, as kind of sex symbols, I suppose you call it. I don't know. But they've completely transcended that now, you know. They're sort of completely beyond that, and they've rubbished that whole sort of theory, and they've become something quite iconic as musicians or as, you know...
People.
Yeah, artists and icons. I think it's perhaps easier for women these days in music because they don't. It's not so much of a boys' world, you know.
I've never felt like it's a boys' world in music. I've never had that kind of thing. Like I felt like I couldn't do something or that, you know.
I didn't even know until now that this was a sort of female-orientated show. It just seemed like a bunch of good bands, you know.
Tell by the dressing room doors.
And now, yeah, it makes sense now. I hadn't thought of it. I didn't realise.
Feel good, Jim?
I have never done it before, ... but why not? I've never jumped out of an airplane. There's no reason why not. I'm gonna do that at some point. Maybe next month.
The most inspiring moment of the day for me, generally, midnight is the moment for me that it just has so many connotations still, you know. And it's when we made our record, we were starting at midnight and working through the night, and I just love that moment, that time of the day or night, or however you want to call it. Because it's just not punctuated with the same stupidity that the day is. You know, the day is always cut up and punctuated by breakfast or the postman coming round or the phone ringing or, you know, people coming to visit and lunch and dinner and things like that, and shops closing and opening. But after midnight, it's none of that. It's just like a runway and a jet. And just go.
In the bottom of my bag. Usually I'm always looking for my cigarettes or my phone or my light. Always my lighter. Never mind, it's always my lighter.
Punk is not dead? Question mark. This is interesting to me because, you know, punk's had a massive influence on us. There's so many bands that, you know, you have those bands that are like singer-songwriters that are kind of trying to get there with perfecting their craft of writing songs, and we never really had that. We never had those sorts of singer-songwriters and as our idols. You know, it was always people like Fugazi and Nation of Ulysses and Bikini Kill and bands that would be considered to be punk, you know, or like Bad Brains or...
They just kind of perfect their politics.
And it's like almost like how those old blues guys used to talk. They used to talk about music and voodoo in the same breath, you know, because they said that it wasn't the notes and the rhythms and the words that made a song electrifying. It was something in the attitude of the people playing it, which is kind of what punk was. So that, in that sense, I think it's still alive, but punk was something that I think was supposed to explode and die out, like a, you know. And I think people have carried on the tradition and they talk about punk as if it's still a relevant thing, but I don't think it is. I hate those people that think they're punk, because they're not. Punk's become watching Sky TV and wearing the same clothes every day and being, you know, not very sort of
Being lazy.
daring, not artistic, and really not. I think it's imprisoned a lot of people. They've hijacked it and think that it's this and that, and it's about wearing camouflage trousers, and it's not.
Having a
I
bad
think
vocabulary.
punk was over in '79, and that's what it was always supposed to be. It was supposed to be a bright star, and it was supposed to be about youth, and it was supposed to. The nature of it was supposed to be that it burnt out. So it's dead. Bye bye, punk.